$2,847. That's your first paycheck. After taxes. After everything. 16 years from now, one of you will own land, a paid-off portfolio, and over $300,000. The other will still be making a truck payment. The fifth one. Today you're both standing in the same parking lot outside an assembly plant in Tulsa. Same shift, same badge color, same number on the stub. Neither of you knows yet which one you're about to become. Dale crosses the street first. The truck is sitting under a banner that says 0% for qualified buyers. He doesn't know yet what qualified means. Nobody at the dealership is in a hurry to tell him. A man named Roy comes out before Dale even reaches the showroom door. That's the first thing nobody warns you about. Money moves slowly when you're trying to save it. It moves fast when you're trying to spend it. Roy doesn't ask how much Dale makes. He asks how much Dale wants to pay a month. Different question. Dale doesn't notice the difference. Not yet. $58,000 on the sticker. Chrome grille, their seats still smell like the factory. Roy punches numbers into a tablet, turns it around and says the words that end most conversations like this one. $861 a month, 7 years. Dale does the math the only way he knows how. 861. That's less than rent. That's doable. He doesn't run the other number. The one that says 7 years from now, he'll have paid more than the truck is worth twice over. Nobody hands him that number. Nobody ever does at this point in the story. The loan gets approved in 20 minutes. Not because the bank trusts Dale, because the bank doesn't need to. The truck is the collateral. If Dale stops paying, they take the truck back and sell it to somebody else. The bank isn't betting on a 24-year-old factory worker. The bank is betting on steel and chrome, holding their value long enough to cover the risk. Dale signs his name 4 times. Once on the loan, once on the insurance binder, twice on forms he doesn't read all the way through. He drives off the lot by 6 that evening. Windows down, radio up, for about 11 minutes. This feels like the best decision he's ever made. The loan doesn't care what you can afford. It cares what you can sign. Across the street, in the same parking lot where they clocked out an hour ago, Renata is sitting in her car. Not the new one. The one she's about to buy. A coworker named Theo mentioned it that morning. $9,400, used. The original owner kept every service record in a folder in the glove box. No check engine light. No warning of anything. She drives it home that same afternoon, pays for it outright. No loan officer, no tablet turned around to face her. No banner promising 0%. There's no moment where this feels like the best decision she's ever made. It just feels like one decision. Done. Filed. What's left over from her paycheck, $1,200, goes into an account she opened 3 days earlier at a credit union 2 blocks from the plant. She doesn't call it an emergency fund. She doesn't call it anything yet. It's just the account she's decided not to touch. She doesn't tell anyone she did this. Nobody asks. There's nothing to see. A car that looks like every other car in the lot. A balance that doesn't show up on anyone's radar, including hers, most days. This is the part that never makes it into the story people tell later. Not the dramatic decision. The quiet one. The one that doesn't feel like anything when it's happening, because nothing is happening. A purchase. A transfer. A Tuesday. Same paycheck. Same plant. Same parking lot. 50 yards apart. One of them just bought a feeling that will need refueling every few years. The other one just bought a few years to think clearly before the next bill arrives. Neither of them checks the other's number tonight. There's nothing yet that would make them want to. A year goes by the way years do when nothing dramatic happens. Which is to say, fast and without asking permission. Dale's insurance comes due. $230 a month. Nobody mentioned that part at the dealership. Roy didn't bring it up. And Dale didn't ask, because at 24, you don't know which questions matter until the bill arrives and answers them for you. Then the transmission acts up, a grinding sound on cold mornings that gets louder by the week. The shop quote comes back at $1,100. Dale doesn't have $1,100 sitting anywhere. He has a truck payment, an insurance payment, and a credit card he opened for gas 6 months ago that's already carrying a small balance he keeps meaning to pay off. He puts the repair on the card. 22% APR. He tells himself he'll knock it out next month. Next month the balance is bigger, not smaller, because next month brought its own emergency, the way months do. Nobody calls Dale to check on this. No banker, no relationship manager, just a statement that arrives on the 14th of every month. The number is a little higher than the one before it. Renata's year looks like nothing from the outside. That's the whole point of it. $200 leaves her account every month and lands in a Roth IRA she opened on a Sunday night, mostly because a video she watched made it sound less complicated than she expected. She doesn't check the balance often. There's not much to look at yet. The car she bought for $9,400 just keeps starting every morning, which is the only thing she asked it to do. One night that fall, she eats dinner alone at her kitchen table. Opens the app between bites, mostly out of habit. The portfolio's up $27 since she last looked. She doesn't react to it. No smile, no relief, nothing worth describing. She closes the app and goes back to eating. This is most of what building wealth actually looks like from the inside. $27 and a fork. But there's a moment this year that almost goes the other way. It's worth slowing down for, because it's the part of this story that doesn't get told enough. A coworker named Priscilla gets a new SUV. White, with the kind of interior that still smells like plastic wrap. She brings it to the plant on a Friday, and half the floor walks out at lunch just to sit in it. Renata sits in it too. That weekend, she drives to the same dealership, not planning to buy anything. Just looking, she tells herself, the way everybody tells themselves that, right up until they're not just looking anymore. A salesman named Curtis walks her through trim levels she didn't know existed. He pulls up a number, $610 a month. Less than Dale's truck, but more than anything Renata has ever paid for a single object in her life. She sits in the driver's seat with the pen in her hand. The new car smell does something to a person that's hard to explain and easy to underestimate. For about 4 minutes, she pictures herself driving it into the plant parking lot on Monday. She doesn't sign. She walks outside instead. Stands in the lot. Lights a cigarette she doesn't really want, mostly because her hands need something to do that isn't holding a pen. 10 minutes pass. Nobody comes out to check on her. Curtis is inside, probably already moving on to the next customer. She isn't thinking about interest rates in those 10 minutes. She's thinking about the account at the credit union. The one that's grown into something now, not huge, but hers. And built slowly enough that she'd notice if $610 a month started leaving it for something with a smell. She walks back in and tells Curtis no thank you. This isn't a story about Renata being naturally disciplined. She wanted that SUV the way anyone wants a thing that smells new. The difference isn't that she didn't feel it. The difference is she felt it, sat with it for 10 minutes in a parking lot, and made the call anyway. That's a different kind of decision than the one made in 20 minutes across town a year earlier. Slower, less comfortable in the moment, cheaper for the next decade. Nobody hands either of them a sign that says which choice is which. The numbers are starting to separate now quietly, the way most numbers do before anyone notices. Neither of them checks the others. There's nothing yet that would make them want to. By 27, Dale is tired of the truck. Not tired of owning it. Tired of looking at it. 3 years in and the new car smell is long gone, replaced by the smell of a floor mat that's seen every winter. Tulsa can throw at it. A coworker just leased something newer. Dale starts checking listings on his phone during break the way some people check the score of a game. He drives to a different dealership this time. Different banner, same math underneath it. The man at the desk, younger than Roy, name tag says Brent, pulls up Dale's loan and runs a number Dale wasn't expecting to hear. $9,300. That's what Dale still owes on the truck beyond what it's worth on a trade-in. 3 years of payments, and the math runs backward instead of forward. The thing about a 7-year loan on a vehicle that loses value every single day is that for a long stretch in the middle, you owe more than you own. Nobody calls this out loud at the dealership. Brent calls it negative equity, says it's the way you'd mention a drizzle, then explains the fix like it's no fix at all. Roll it in. The $9,300 gets folded into a new loan for a newer truck. The payment that used to be $861 becomes $940. Dale signs again. It takes less time than the first one did. He's better at this now, in the way you get better at anything you do enough times, even the things that cost you. The truck doesn't get paid off. It gets rolled over. What rolls over with it is harder to put a number on. Dale starts mapping his drive to work, around which route burns less gas. He checks the price at the pump before he commits to a station, sometimes circling the block for a station 4 cents cheaper. Thursday nights, instead of doing much of anything else, he's on hold with the insurance company, arguing about a rate increase that came out of nowhere and somehow stuck. None of this takes a lot of time on any single day. All of it takes a little time every single day. By the end of a year, that adds up to something. Not money. Attention. The hours a person has to spend thinking about something other than survival math. Dale is spending those on a truck that's already worth less than what he owes on it. He stops opening the banking app. Not dramatically. Just less and less, the way you stop checking on something you already know the answer to. Renata's 27 looks almost identical to her 26, which is most of the point of it. $200 a month, automated, into the Roth IRA. She adds a second account now, taxable, plain, holding a total market index fund she read about, because a video mentioned it had an expense ratio of near nothing. She doesn't talk about this at work. There's nothing dramatic to report. Her car still starts. Her insurance is the same flat number it's been since she bought the thing outright, because there's no loan attached to argue about. She still doesn't know the price of gas off the top of her head. Somebody asks her one afternoon, and she has to guess. Dale could tell you the price at 4 different stations without looking. That's not a small detail. That's the whole difference. Sitting quietly inside 2 ordinary days that look almost the same from the outside. Neither of them has checked the other's number yet. There's still nothing that would make them want to. But the distance between them isn't just in their accounts anymore. It's in what each of them has left at the end of a day to spend on something other than the next bill. 10 years out of high school, somebody organizes a reunion at a banquet hall off Route 75. Half the floor from the plant shows up, because half the floor went to the same high school, the way it works in towns this size. Dale parks 2 streets over. The truck, his third one now, the rolled over loan riding along underneath it like a passenger nobody invited, doesn't quite fit the lot, and he doesn't feel like explaining why he's driving something different than what he drove last time anyone saw him. Somebody asks what he's driving these days. Dale gives a short answer and changes the subject before it can go anywhere near a number. He's not lying about anything. He's just not volunteering the part where the truck currently sitting 2 streets over owes more than it's worth. Again, the 3rd time that's been true in 6 years. Renata's at the same reunion, in the same car she bought for $9,400 when she was 24, now showing some rust around the wheel wells. Nobody asks her what she's driving. There's nothing to ask about. It looks exactly like it did 6 years ago, because it is exactly what it was 6 years ago. What nobody at this reunion knows, including most of the people standing closest to her, is that Renata had a rough stretch this year too. Her mother needed help with a medical bill that insurance didn't fully cover. $4,100. The kind of number that shows up without an invitation. She didn't have to put it on a card. That's the only difference between her rough year and the kind that turns into a longer problem. The account she opened at 24 had grown into something that could absorb a hit like that without knocking her over. She wrote the check, the balance dropped, and a year later, it had mostly grown back. This isn't a story where Renata never struggles. She struggles plenty. The difference is what the struggle costs her afterward. Around this time, Renata gets a call from her bank, not automated, an actual person, about a better rate on the cash she's been parking between paychecks. Nobody called her 3 years ago. Her balance wasn't worth the phone call then. It is now. Dale doesn't get calls like that. He gets statements. He gets a letter about his insurance premium going up again at renewal, with no explanation attached. If you put both their checking balances side by side this year, one of them would look away first. Not the one you'd expect. Renata's rough year balance, after the medical bill, after everything, is still higher than Dale's balance on a good month. Neither of them says any of this out loud at the reunion. Dale drives back to where the truck is parked, a payment due in 11 days, and he's already budgeted around. Renata drives home in the same car, to the same account, a little smaller this year than it would have been without the hospital bill, and still bigger than it's ever been without one. The gap hasn't shown its full size yet, it's just started showing its shape. By 33, Dale's on his 4th truck. Nobody at the plant comments on it anymore. It's just what Dale drives. What changes every couple of years, the way some men change phones. The payment this time is $1,020 a month, after another rollover folded the leftover balance from the last one into the new loan. Saturdays, Dale drives for a delivery app now. Not because he wants to. Because the math stopped working a while back, and this is the version of fixing it that doesn't require admitting anything changed. He uses the truck to make the truck's payment. Gas money funds the gas tank that needs the gas money. It's a closed loop, and closed loops don't ask whether they make sense. They just run. One Sunday evening, he's at the pump filling up before the week starts. A kid in the next car over, maybe 6 years old, points out the window at the truck and says it to his mom loud enough for Dale to hear. "Dad, I want one like that someday." Dale laughs, says something easy back. But the number running behind his eyes right then isn't pride. It's the payment due in 4 days, and whether the delivery app shifts he picked up this weekend covered it yet. He doesn't say any of that out loud. He just finishes filling the tank and gets back on the road. He doesn't complain about any of this. Worth saying plainly, because there's no version of the story where Dale is lazy or careless. He gets up, he works his shift, he works his Saturdays, he pays what's due, on time, every time. The work is real. What's missing isn't effort. It's the hours that used to be his to spend on something other than keeping a loop closed. Renata's 33 looks almost boring by comparison, and that's not an accident. It's the design. The account at the credit union, plus the Roth, plus the taxable brokerage. Together they've crossed a number that would let her walk into a dealership tomorrow and buy something new outright. She doesn't do it. That fall, she finds a listing for a small parcel of land outside town. 4 acres, nothing built on it yet, priced close to what that SUV would have cost her if she'd said yes to Curtis years back. She drives out on a Saturday, walks the property line with the seller, a quiet man ready to be done with the upkeep. She buys it outright. A year later, she runs the numbers almost by accident, checking the land's assessed value against what she paid. The increase alone, just this year's increase, not the whole value of the land, is more than the combined total of every truck payment Dale has made since he was 24. She doesn't tell anyone this. There's nobody at the plant she'd say it to without it sounding like something other than what it is. She just closes the spreadsheet and goes to bed. Dale finds out about the land secondhand, through someone mentioning it in passing. He doesn't say much about it. There isn't a clean comparison to make out loud. A truck and a piece of land don't sit next to each other easily in conversation. Some people work on the truck, some people let the money work instead. Both of them call it normal life. Neither version looks unusual from a distance. That's the part most stories about money get wrong. They want a villain, a moment of obvious failure. There isn't one here. Just years of ordinary Tuesdays, stacking up in 2 different directions, neither announcing what they're becoming until the stack gets too tall to ignore. 16 years out from that first paycheck, somebody finally puts the numbers next to each other. Not the truck and the land. The whole picture. Dale is 40, he's on his 5th truck now, payment at $1,090 a month, financed over 6 years because the dealership said that was the most they could stretch it without the rate climbing further. His credit card carries a balance that it hasn't been free of in longer than he can clearly remember. Between the loan, the insurance, the card, and maintenance that never really stopped showing up, his net worth sits right around 0. Some months it dips under, Some months it climbs a little above. It's been doing this same small dance for years. He's not in crisis, that's important to say. He has a job, he pays his bills, he shows up every day and does honest work for honest hours. Nobody would look at Dale's life and call it a disaster. They'd call it normal. A man with a nice truck and a paycheck that covers what it needs to. Most months, mostly. Renata is 42. Her combined accounts, the Roth, the brokerage, the credit union savings, plus the land that's quietly appreciated since she bought it at 33, come out to just over $310,000. No loan attached to any of it. No payment is due on the 14th, which decides whether the rest of the month goes smoothly or not. The gap between them after 16 years of the same paycheck arriving on the same days at the same plant is more than $300,000. Nobody handed Renata that gap. Nobody took it away from Dale on purpose. It's the parking lot decision at 24. It's the 10 minutes outside the dealership at 26, with the pen still in her hand before she walked back in and said no. It's the rollover at 27 that Dale didn't fight because nobody ever showed him a version where he didn't have to take it. It's every Thursday night Dale spent on hold with an insurance company, time that never shows up on any balance sheet but spent itself all the same. Most people, hearing this story, will say Dale lost because he liked trucks too much. That's not quite it. Every few years, money put a choice in front of him: pay down the loan or roll it forward, fix the old one or finance a new one, and the payment was always the easier door to walk through. Renata had the same kind of doors put in front of her. The SUV, the dealership at 33. She just walked through fewer of them. There's no scene where Dale is sitting down and told what he did wrong. There's no scene where Renata explains her secret to anyone at the plant. The gap exists quietly, the way most real gaps do, sitting underneath two ordinary lives that both still get up Monday morning and go to work. Dale's truck payment is due in 9 days. He already knows which 3 things he's adjusting around it. Renata's land sits there, unbothered, worth more this year than it was last year, without her having done a single thing to make that happen except leave it alone. Same paycheck. Same plant. 16 years. Somewhere outside an assembly plant in Tulsa, right now, somebody just got their first paycheck. $2,847. After taxes. After everything. They're standing in the parking lot, looking across the street at a truck, catching the afternoon sun on a dealer's lot. Chrome grille bright enough to notice from 50 yards away. A banner above it promises 0% for qualified buyers. They don't know yet what qualified means. They don't know there's a credit union 2 blocks the other direction, where a different decision is also waiting. Quieter, with no banner and no salesman walking out to meet them. 16 years from now, somebody will ask them what they're driving these days. The answer will tell you almost everything, and they still won't know it does. They just see the truck, and they start walking toward it. The paycheck hits every 2 weeks. It doesn't ask which direction you're walking. It never has.